Hello, welcome to the Defiance NFT show. It is the 7th of October, and I'm joined, as usual, by Simon. Wait, who are you? It's Zeneca, everyone. Zeneca,
Hello.
introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And why have I invited you here today?
Hi, my name is Roy, but I go by Zeneca as my online pseudonym, I guess. I've been in the NFT space for about 8-9 months, and I guess I'm known for talking about NFTs. I send out all these daily stats for floor prices and unique owners and things like that. My alarm is going off. Let me just turn that off. I have a newsletter, a podcast. Yeah, I just create a lot of NFT content, so I love to talk and think about NFTs.
What in particular do you like to talk about? Because there's so many different entry points to this space. What is it that drew you in? Because 7-8 months isn't that long, but in crypto times, that's an enormous amount of time.
Yeah, it feels like I'm an OG, but there's people that have been in NFTs for years. So, what drew me in, I guess, is just to really boil it down, is digital ownership. Just that fact that that's a thing that is possible now with NFTs, and the fact that you can buy and sell digital assets and own them. That is really mind blowing. And I know that's a very wide swath. It encompasses kind of everything, but I love talking about anything with NFTs.
What's your background then? Because it sounds like this is something that resonates with you. Were you in the creative arts? Where have you come from?
I was actually a professional poker player for 15 years.
No.
Yeah, so I went basically high school, professional poker, and then it sort of naturally from there somehow found myself in NFTs and crypto.
That's so funny because there's a lot that overlaps with NFTs, funnily enough.
Yeah.
I always remember one of poker's kind of biggest challenges, extract maximum value from a hand, is how do you evaluate the person on the other side of the table and say, this is the maximum I can get out of this hand. And it feels like NFTs have this intrinsic value, which is their rarity. And then there's the market value. And then there's the value that somebody somewhere might be willing to pay you for them. Is that how you see it?
Kind of, yeah. So I don't necessarily consciously think of it like that, but there are a lot of parallels from poker to NFTs. And like, just to give an example, like if you want to sell one particular NFT, you might not be able to get its like fair market price. Like what even is fair market price or value? But sometimes you just list it for some YOLO high price, and all it takes is one buyer out there to buy it, and then you've made a massive gain potentially.
I think people look at rarity tools, particularly the first page, and they'll see like these ridiculously hopeful prices, like 500 ETH for number 5 or something. The fact is, what that does is it signals to the market a certain confidence somewhere that it actually is worth not maybe 500 ETH, but maybe a lot. And if everybody sort of starts to build that mythology and that sense of there is something I know that you don't know around a project, then that's where suddenly somebody, as you've rightly said, with deep pockets that wants to flex something will bite. And I think that's one of the weirdest things about this space. There is so much signaling that goes on. And it is like, representing a hand in poker, you represent X by betting X. It has a lot in common, weirdly enough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And not even just that aspect, but if someone sees someone listed for 500 ETH or buy it for 20 ETH for the rare things, then sort of like the floor pieces or the cheaper pieces, they start becoming appealing to people who may not have 5 or 50 ETH to spend, but they can spend 0.2 or something on this new collection. They're like, well, if someone is spending all this money on a rare one, it must mean that the collection as a whole is validated and valuable. And then,
We've seen that a lot recently. Cosimo Medici, Vince Van Dough, Cryptodes. We'll get onto that. Normally what I do is I will go and go through some statistics and stuff. There we go. So really the title of the show today is everything that's wrong with NFTs, because we tend to talk quite bullishly about them and get wrapped up in the excitement of the story, but we tend to also ignore that there are some things which are maybe not so good and maybe should be talked about. So that was the whole point of the show today, was to go through some of those, maybe answer some questions around them, maybe discuss them. And so what I wanted to do was bring in some guests, you being one of them, that would help us have that conversation. So later on, we will have Artis Sheetroff from Somnium Space. Artis is one of those people who is an NFT collector. He likes crypto art, but he hates PFPs and he hates CryptoPunks. and he is a naysayer in the world of this of wash trading. He's a lot to say. He's an awesome dude. We have you. We have Abby from Top Dog Beach Club, who's been running that project, and they've been doing all sorts of innovative stuff. They've been on the show before. And we have Joshua from Crypto Dads. And specifically, what I wanted to ask them about was how Crypto Dads was able to pick up so much momentum, and maybe give us an insight into what they did, because I want to look into the power of influencers. You are an influencer yourself, Zeneca. Do you feel there is a responsibility on you to be responsible, in fact, in what you say, how you act, what you show the market? Because I know you're quite open about what you buy and sell, but you must be aware of the other side of this, which is people just blindly follow you.
Yes, no, I absolutely think that there's a responsibility on me and anyone that has sort of a large Twitter following or any sort of following, where because the market is so immature or just new, or I guess still small, where one person can influence it so much, like in a collection of 10,000, all it takes is 100 or 200 people to be wanting to buy it to really significantly change the price. I'm personally very conscious of what I say about projects, which projects I talk up or down. If I talk about them at all, like I try not to talk about too many specific projects from a personal perspective, but occasionally I do, just because it's sort of a balancing act where, I mean, I love NFTs, and if I find a project I really, really like, I want to share it with people. But then I'm really conscious that if I own a lot of it and I'm sharing with people, it's also sort of like in my own interests to make it do well. And it's sort of like pumping my own bags to an extent. So I just try to do more research myself on projects. And if I'm talking up a project, I have conviction in them. And I won't like buy them and then talk them up and then dump them on people that are buying them. But I know people out there do that on Twitter and in other spaces. And that's one of the problems with NFTs.
Yeah, it's that classic thing where VCs talk their book. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I work for a...
Phil then shill.
Phil then shill. Yeah. It's problematic because we talk about DeFi on this channel a lot, but we also own ETH. We can't not have ETH. And so by extension, you're always shilling ETH because you shill the space, you shill the tokens, and you shill everything around it. There's a huge responsibility on us to be mindful of what it is that we're saying. I've seen people literally come and say, hey, thanks for letting me know. I bought this because of you. I'm like, that is not at all what we were trying to say here. I'm in the middle of a massive piece of work about Puck. Puck has turned out to be the most fascinating art personality project I have ever seen. And it's one of the most interesting things I've actually looked into in years. The amount of attention I've labeled on this project means that people will see that as validation of that project. I can't avoid that. And yet I'm probably one of the few people that can tell the Pack story the way it needs to be told. So where do you sit? It's a really, really tough one. And I'm just curious if you have found yourself wanting to write a tweet and then deleting it
every day.
Yeah.
Every day. Because if I'm just in my just general business of buying and selling NFTs, and I buy something, I'm like, hey, this is really cool. I should tell people, oh, hang on, I probably shouldn't, because just the fact that I'm talking about it, people are going to look at it, and then probably some people will buy it. And the exact same situation, as you just mentioned, has happened where I write an article or a tweet or a thread about a project, and I'll put disclaimers, not financial advice. I don't recommend buying this. I didn't even buy it. And then I'll get messages saying, hey, I saw your thread and I bought it. And I'm like, again, not the point, but it is going to happen. And it's just naive to think that people wouldn't do that. So we really do have to be mindful.
When Zeneca pay Discord channel?
Yeah, I mean,
that's the next logical step, right? NFT mint pass access, to your alpha, to your brain.
Yeah, I'm actually working on a project that is similar to that, but not, I mean, we have these paid Discords now where people pay and then you get like calls where like there's a leader and he's like, everyone go buy this now under this price, and then it pumps up and then dump at this price. That is not at all what I am about. And I don't like that kind of thing, but I do want to have my own NFT project, and I'm thinking of some sort of membership token where it would be more akin to overall market updates and analysis of upcoming projects and just more in-depth, long-term, long-form value investing approach, rather than pump and dump shill type things. So yeah.
What are you basing those pieces of analysis on? Is it kind of historical data? Is it a gut feeling? Because I don't think there's enough data out there to really support long-term theses on this thing. So we're all kind of punching, the air a little bit.
Both of those things is definitely gut feelings, definitely looking at what has previously been successful. A lot of it is just the people, though. So the team working on a project and the community invested in it. I think those are the two biggest indicators of success. So, I mean, no one can really tell what's going to be successful from an artistic point of view necessarily, because it's so subjective. And I mean, we've seen all sorts of art projects be successful, and then fascinating, amazing art doesn't necessarily take off. But if you have a really good team working on a project, they're invested in it, they're dedicated, they have experience in the real world building other crypto projects or other tech projects, and they're devoting their whole life essentially to this project. And then you have a community of people that connect with what they're doing, they're invested in it, they like the project and the vision. Those are probably the two biggest markers for success. So, and I think you can evaluate projects based on those metrics. Just by going in and talking to the team, talking to the community, get in Discord and chat to humans, and get a feel for it.
Yeah, which is it's the thing that most people can't be asked to do, because we'll get onto this.
Everyone just wants to get rich quick. Yeah,
they do, and I think we shouldn't underestimate how powerful that is, but also we shouldn't diss people for that, because there's a reason why, there's they call it the 5 stages of crypto that you go through, and the first one is that rocket ship where you have never been as wealthy as you are at this moment in time. So here is a snapshot of the top NFT sales of the last 24 hours, and no surprise to see an autoglyph in there and a punk. But that toad, what do you make of that? $1.5 million for a toad.
Jeez, I don't think I even saw that one. I mean, I know toads have been going crazy. It's just sort of the latest hot thing that a lot of crypto or NFT native wealthy people have rallied behind, and it's just rocketed the price up a lot. And I mean, a lot of people say it's like a Ponzi or it's a wash trading or some scam, but I guess I don't personally think that. I think it's a meme that people have rallied behind, and it's the fact that it's public domain is made people value it, I guess, higher than a lot of other projects.
I think that one particular toad was actually bought by the Zombie Toads DAO.
Oh, wow.
The Zombie Toads it's another NFT project, but they invest in toads. So they're an NFT backed NFT of sorts. I'm seeing a few more of these actually, like Diamond Hands. They fractionalized the punk and distributed those shards to people in the ecosystem. Yeah, but crypto, yes, it's the latest hot thing. It's like Cool Cats. It picked up some headwinds, but Vincent Van Dough put out, here's my thesis on Cryptoads. What I think is interesting about this is it's Cryptoads by Gremplin. It's like a fashion line. Yeah. It's by X. So they're foregrounding the artist here, which is not unheard of, but it's quite unusual. And Gremplin's particularly unusual because this is an OG. This is one of us. I think that's the thing. It's one of us. So yeah, definitely some interesting things going around there. Is it sustainable? I don't know. What do you make of the TikTok NFT creator-led collection?
I haven't actually looked into the collection at all. I just know of the news that TikTok is getting into NFTs, and I think, like from a macro perspective, it's fantastic because the audience is enormous, and it adds a sense of validation and mainstream appeal, and will probably be good for the space as a whole.
Well, it was an interesting one because there were so many interesting headlines. First of all, there was the list of influencers: Lil Nas X, Bella Poarch, Curtis Roach, and Brittany Broski. It's just like people with huge reach. I mean, like, you're an influencer, but no, these are influencers.
The millions, yeah.
That was the first thing. The second thing was it was going to be using Immutable X, which is an interesting decision, probably a good one too. Immutable X is a really interesting project. Carbon neutral, makes sense, makes a good headline. And then the creators that they were partnering with, so Coin Artist, OG of the OGs, one of the very best out there, Artifact. I mean, Artifact are about to have like the entire space at their beck and call once Clone X drops. And to see them in there as well, it just shows you that like our world is inserting itself into kind of worldwide pop culture in ways that we'll look back and think, oh, well, it was obvious. But like, I think even you and I know, like 3-4 months ago, like 6 months ago, it wasn't obvious.
No.
Not at all. What do you make of Artifact? Are you a fan?
I'll be honest. I don't even know what that is or who that is. Sorry. Like, that's
look at this. We get to drop some truth.
There's
on
so
the
much
Z-Man
in the NFT space going on, and that has gone on. And again, I've been here for 8 months, but that's a long time and not a long time. That probably 5 or 10 times a day, someone will ask me, "What do you think of this? What do you think of this project or this person?" Or and I'm just like, I don't know that.
Well, that's because we're witnessing the rapid maturation of NFTs from an asset class or a supposed asset class into just a tech layer that sits on top of something. Could be financial, could be cultural. The Artifact's definitely worth doing your homework on. It actually links quite nicely to the other headline I've got here, which is Dolce & Gabbana setting a $6 million record for fashion NFTs. My personal feeling is that fashion is where the rubber hits the road for NFTs. I think it's where we see this intersection of identity, metaverse, gaming, and people being able to express themselves in their online identity in very interesting and wild and wacky ways. I've spent quite a lot of time researching this space, talking to teams like Fabricant. Artifact make incredible items for the metaverse, digital, but with physical counterparts as well. And I just think that that's where there's going to be a huge amount of growth, particularly for teenagers and young women, actually, funnily enough, which is an area that you don't associate with crypto. But I think where this side of NFTs will really take off. And I think it's going to be an interesting one. My favorite drops of the last kind of couple of weeks. So I had there was a 14-year-old Indian artist who did one of the gen.art drops, and I just thought the art was incredible. It was generative art algorithm. It was just, and when you knew that it was a 14-year-old girl who'd done this, it's like, wow, serious talent. In the middle, we have Nifty Degens. And what I liked about this one, did you come across this one at all?
Yeah, I love this one. It's like one of the only projects in the last few months I actually tweeted about while they were minting.
Oh yeah,
because the minting process was so fun.
So unfortunately they're sold out, but we can kind of demo the minting process. But you basically had a character builder, and it was kind of old school 8-bit graphics, but it was so much fun. You got to build your own characters. You could change, the hair, the head. You put a yellow bra on it. You basically could pick the character you wanted. Now, you couldn't pick all of them because some people had kind of picked some of the kind of obviously rare ones, but you then go and click on mint, and then it would make your character for you. I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed that one.
Plus,
and the other one I liked was, yeah, exactly. And I loved Monster Buds. So these are the Monster Buds. They took something like 5 days to turn from these little tiny seedlings to these weird and wonderful monster bud creations. It's kind of a marijuana themed thing. You can smoke these things, you can breed them. There's just, like, from a UX perspective, it was just really cool. I really enjoyed that one. Were there any others that jumped out at you that were kind of noteworthy or interesting that you saw?
Oh God, this week, what a long week. There was Neo Tokyo Identities, which I don't know much about, but that's the Elio Trades and Alex Becker Citadel project, which they were like cryptically alluding to for a while, and it dropped and just immediately rocketed to like a 10th floor. So that's something that was interesting. But it was interesting.
It was interesting because, well, it's problematic, right? And it does play into one of the big topics of this show, which is the power of influencers.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Becker prides himself on being a marketing genius.
Yeah.
And that's basically what he was trading on.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm not sure how I feel about that. In fact, I know exactly how I feel about it, if it's not obvious.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough question because he is obviously, I guess, marketing and pumping his own bags as well. But if he can create a good product that also creates value for the people that get in on it, then it can, in some senses, be win-win-win. But often it's not. I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
This feels like a good moment to bring Artur into the conversation, if he's there. Artur, you there?
I think I am. Hello.
Are you in Somnium right now?
What a strange question, sir. Hello.
There he is. Of course, he's in Somnium. So welcome, Artur Sytchof,
Hi.
CEO of Somnium. He calls himself a VR maximalist. I wonder if you can tell why. Well, listen to that. We've got applause. So the wonderful thing about Artur is in a world which is entirely made up of NFT parcels, but he is also wearing an NFT right now. Zeneca, have you spent any time in Somnium?
Unfortunately, I'm sad to say I haven't, but I'm fascinated by it, and I definitely want to explore it more.
Artur, why don't you give us a kind of heads up on what Somnium is and who you are, and kind of what your take on NFTs is?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me. Great to meet you and see you guys. Yeah, I'm Artur. I'm founder and CEO of Somnium Space, which is a virtual reality platform where the economy and ownership is based on the blockchain. So every token you own, and you have full control over it. You can do whatever you want with it. We don't dictate you where you sell it, to whom you sell it, what the price should be. It's up to you. So that's kind of like the first step in decentralization, which we did to decentralize economy from Somnium. There will be next steps in the future, which I've discussed many times in the past, and we could, of course, touch upon it later if we want to. But yeah, it's a world where your dreams become a reality. So whatever you see around me is built by users on their land parcels, and there's way more beyond that you cannot see from here. But basically, it's a world full of imagination, possibilities, and actual people building actual items, buildings, I don't know, services, and whatever you can imagine, including these kind of avatars, selling stuff. And yeah, it's just amazing to be here. And right now, it's the best part of the day. It's the sunrise, which I love.
So the sun rises and sets quite often in Somnium, but you get these incredible atmospheric conditions.
There it comes, live.
So Artur is beaming to us directly from inside Somnium, and this is one of the amazing things you can do with Somnium. I can see behind you there's a start gate. There's actually cars that you can go and race in Somnium. There's kayaks and things. This is a fully fleshed out metaverse world in which you can be any character that you want to be, but it's still very, very early days. The vision of Somnium, where we are with Somnium, it feels very much like the worlds of Snow Crash. But Artur, do you feel like we're close enough to being able to realize this vision of open commerce and open NFT interchange and value exchange yet, or are there too many barriers for people to get there just yet?
Not really. I mean, the Somnium vision is pretty huge in terms of what systems we bring online all the time, and what systems will come online, even this year and next year. But what you just said, the commerce of on-chain NFTs and the payment with cryptocurrencies is actually coming live really soon this year. We have just finished all the tests and deployments of the on-chain seamless transactions, meaning that you'll be able to transact in VR. I'll be able to give you a thing. You'll be able to take it from me. We agree on the price. Boom, the NFTs moved from wallet to wallet automatically. The money are moving. Somnium cubes are moving from one wallet to another automatically. So all those things will be happening very soon. Artists will be able to put a donation jar right in front of them, and people will be able to just click in VR and pay, 5 cubes to donate during their concert, which is live, and all of the things. It's very close. And when people say, yeah, it's not a mainstream yet, of course, but that's not a problem. The number of users who are using Somnium is growing. The number of users who use VR is growing. The hardware is getting more access. The Web3 interface and everything is getting better. We are working on it hard, to make sure that people on board fast and as easy as possible. And I think we're just getting there. We feel very strong about even the end of this year and next year alone.
One of the wonderful things about Somnium is the ability to put your own NFTs into a gallery space and display them in VR. I think it's quite hard for people to understand what that feels like and what that looks like. Zeneca, have you played around with VR at all?
I have not, and I actually went to buy an Oculus, I don't know, a few months ago, because I had a lot of people talking to me about how awesome Somnium was and VR was, but it was out of stock where I was looking, and then it just sort of, I forgot about it. But it's definitely something I want to do. And looking at it now, it looks so cool and fun and exciting that, yeah, definitely want to get involved.
Yeah, you're welcome to join, of course. We can help you to.
I'm literally looking at buying plots on OpenSea right now.
Cool. This is the issue. The first time I spoke to Artur, he gave me the dog and pony show. I got to see this. I was like, I need to be there. I need to have this. I need to have this in my life. And we have gone round and round and round trying to figure out how to build Somnium into what we do in production. And we haven't been able to make it work for us yet, because it's such a different world and it's such a different thing. And getting performance and getting the way you communicate with people into the really compressed time schedule we have for production, very, very difficult. But I think Arthur's going to try and show us some of what's going on there. But this is a fully fleshed out world. You know, you go and you can build whatever you want, and then you can house your art within that. This is a very scaled up version of the NFT space that we understand and know, because I don't know about you, Seneca, but like I have massive frustrations with OpenSea most of the time in terms of just figuring out what on earth I have. So question, Artur, I know you have some issues with some of what you see in the space. And before you answer that, I want to bring on Josh from Crypto Dads. We talked about Crypto Dads, featured them on the show a few weeks back. Josh, welcome to the show. Hello. Congratulations on the project.
Thank you so much.
You're here with Artur and Zeneca. So Artur, the issue that I know that you have is one of wash trading volume, the reality behind some of the numbers that we see in the Discord channels and everything else. Could you kind of give us an overview of some of the things that trouble you about the space?
Well, I think I'll go even I'll even go back one step or a few steps. It's not about wash trading. It's more about the sanity and common sense of all of it, what we see in the market right now. And we could always sit here and argue about why something is worth this and why this is cool, and oh my god, the character creation process is so fun and everything, and you get a picture in the end of the day, which is a great picture, pixelated art, all wonderful. But when you look at something, I don't know, I've actually haven't looked at the top 10 OpenSea projects for the last 7 days, and actually I can do it right now. But if we look at there, we would probably at least pause for a second and think, like, what are those projects? And we should at least take our time to click past the just the OpenSea volume and click on the item itself and click on the link where the item leads and have a look at the website and have a look at the Twitter account and have a look at these things and just realize, like, okay, wait a second, why is something is trading, let's say, for $14 or $15 million per week? What is behind the project, and why and how is it possible that something like this is being traded? And what is the pattern behind those things, right? Because just yesterday, I saw someone in the feed, and I apologize for the person if he knows, if he definitely knows that I'm talking about him. He just wrote something along the lines of like, hey, how is it possible that I'm always late to a new upcoming project where whenever I come, there's already 3,000 people, 3,000 owners of that project, and there is always 30,000 followers on that Twitter account? Like, I'm in the NFT space and I am late at almost every single project. And I wrote to him, actually, and he asked the question, he was like, are they bots or what's happening there? Like, how is it possible? And actually, if you look at this, I didn't do the due diligence. This is just my feeling of what I see, because I don't have even time to go through every project and click. I just gave up on even looking at the rankings on OpenSea. But if you look at the Twitter accounts, it's true. Every time you see like 29.9 thousand, and I wrote to him, I was like, yeah, it's not 30,000, sir. It's 29.9 thousand all the time. It's always the same number. And things like this, like, you have to ask yourself a question. Is it a toad? Is it a punk? Is it, I don't know, a space boy, an NFT punk, or ape with punk, whatever? How is it possible that we're looking at something which is being traded $15 million per week? Okay. There has to be an explanation.
We have someone who might be able to answer that. Josh, I'm going to put it over to you.
I would be glad to hear.
Crypto Dads enjoyed a massive amount of success. It did great. It launched hard. What happened? What were you guys up to? How did you get that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can't speak for any other projects, but I mean, for us in particular, our whole objective was to create a community before we even actually launched anything, which is generally kind of the opposite of how people do things. I think nowadays, because of like the skepticism of the communities and things like that. Sorry, my cats are all over the place. The skepticism of the communities and everything like that, it takes a lot more trust and community building before the project actually launches now, whereas maybe a few months back it was kind of just like aping into everything, and like that was kind of it, and you hope that the team actually carried out with what they had as a vision. But for us in general as well, this is like a very long-term project. For me and Anthony in particular, this is our only project that we're working on. We've obviously had offers to hop on teams for multiple other projects. I'm sure you've seen maybe even other like leaders that are like consultants on, tons of different projects and things like that. And, I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that. But for us, we're really, really focused on building the utility and community within our project and expanding that, until I don't even know where the end would be, but we're so early that there really is no end yet. It's nothing that we can just move on from, if that makes sense. But I don't know if I can answer the specific question of like why it's traded so much. That obviously has to do with like speculation.
Well, I'm gonna push it back to you because I know how these groups work. Whales turn up and whales make their presence felt, and then channels form to collect the information that whales are spreading around between them, because that's just kind of how they put pressure on teams. Did you get put under pressure by whales in your team? Because I can imagine it would have happened.
The thing about our community is that, anyone that's been there from the beginning, it probably understands this as well, but there are genuinely a huge amount of first-time NFT buyers in our community. Very, very, very large percentage of our community is first-time NFT buyers. So there are a few whales. For example, there are a few people that are in other communities that are big fans of ours that are whales. But for the most part, in a general standpoint of our community, it is a lot of new users, a lot of them, a lot of people from Top Shot, stuff like that, where this is their first like actual NFT.
But how did you manage to attract that audience?
Yeah, so for one, I think
may I ask just a quick question, because I'm not familiar too much with CryptoDads. What are they? What people do with them?
So CryptoDads are a generative profile picture series or project. Basically, that's the general standpoint of it. We're creating actual businesses in Denver that exist physically.
Such as, if I may ask, just for me to understand.
So, I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail because I would take up the whole show, I guess. But we have an umbrella company called MetaReact, which is going to be handling basically and that involves a couple other investors that have a lot of money, so that's not really a problem. But either way, MetaReact is the umbrella company that goes over CryptoDads LLC. CryptoDads is always going to be me and Anthony's company only. And me and Anthony will fully focus on CryptoDads. And then MetaReact is basically going to be the overlying company that we're doing other NFT stuff with. But I don't want to go too much into detail with that. But for CryptoDads utility-wise, I mean, it's hard to say specifically, because the thing about NFTs right now, I think, is that a lot of things are kind of planned in the future and not like set in stone. For example, even if we're looking at like Decentraland or Sandbox, like the concept is there, obviously, and everything's kind of
don't get Artur started about Sandbox.
Well, either
the whole show will be done if we do that.
It just kind of proves how early we are, right? There's no real like working utility for a lot of these projects, but
why? My question is why.
So for CryptoDads, I guess I'll just talk about CryptoDads because I don't want to go into like a philosophy.
So I'm just gonna welcome Abby to the show because she's jumped in and she's here with us.
Hi,
Abby's from Top Dog Beach Club.
Hi guys, thanks for
one
having
of the
me.
few female artist creators in the space, and this is a team of very experienced creators. We've had them on before. Happy to have you here. Go, Josh.
Yeah. So, I mean, just as a utility standpoint for where we're at, we're going to have the crypto moms for crypto dad holders. We're doing a snapshot for that soon. After the crypto moms, we're having crypto tots. We're going to have rewards for people that hold both crypto moms, crypto dads, and we're going to also have rewards for people that hold all three. We're going to be creating a metaverse in the near future. Well, near future is relative, obviously, because it takes time, but we do have the funding for that. We have in-person events planned. We have whiskey planned. We have a event called I can't remember what the place is called. I'm sorry, but it's a local Denver brewery that we're going to be holding an event at. That's actually making the whiskey for us. And all these things are going to be available for crypto data holders. So, for example, we can actually sell the whiskey. So to get the whiskey, you're going to be staking your crypto dad, things like that. But all these things are kind of, I think, in a sense that NFTs are very new, so we can kind of create the utility for ourselves. I don't necessarily think that it's like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is why people buy into this specific thing. It's like, that's kind of the whole point of all these different NFTs. They all can do literally whatever they want. So, and then the community can decide if that's worthwhile or not. And that's not really up to me. That has nothing to do with me. So,
Abby, I remember when you launched, I was there throughout that whole process. How did yours and Paul's vision change from where you started off from? Because I guess you listened to your community as well, and they maybe didn't like everything you wanted to do. But how much did that influence your quote unquote roadmap?
Well, yeah, we actually launched about 3 months ago now, which feels about 3 years ago, really. We've just been changing constantly as we go along. I think we've learned that you can't have a traditional roadmap where you just kind of stick to it. We have to listen to the community. When we started, we wanted 10,000, which at the time was the standard, but at that particular moment in time, people were getting kind of sick of the 10,000 PFP projects. So the community said, listen, we'll give you some, we actually did a vote for people to decide. So the overall vote said that we should charge more for the mint and have fewer, but we decided to just mint 8,000 instead and to keep the price the same because that was fair. In terms of our overall roadmap, we've already completed our first roadmap, apart from the beach parties, one in Europe, one in America somewhere for COVID reasons, but we're working on that. We've got a roadmap 2.0 already. And again, a lot of the ideas have come from our discussions with the community. We've been listening to what people want. And we're doing things in between as well. So it's not just that we have to stick to a solid roadmap, even the one that we put out there. We obviously plan on fulfilling that, but every day we come up with new ideas. So, you know, we've done things like donate to charity. We've had merch. I know a lot of people are doing all of this now. We've got our own token, our snacks token, which is actually going to change soon. We're going to sort of revamp that and give that a little bit more utility. I was speaking to some experts about that because that's something that community has been asking for us to push that a little bit more. We're working on a PvP game. And I think the possibilities are endless, really. Josh, is it Josh or Josh? Sorry.
Yeah, Josh.
Josh, I saw earlier in an interview that you said that you had a TV series in mind or something on YouTube where people could actually they could actually have their NFTs in the episodes and get royalties for that.
Yeah,
so
100%. Yeah, well, you know, it's definitely a work in progress, and we've talked to a lot of people. Obviously, the film industry is a bit different, and like people like Netflix, we've learned over conversations that the general way they work is by, you know, basically buying the full rights from a project or, you know, a show, and that's how they're able to show it. So basically, we're in such a new space that we're trying to navigate how this would actually work, but the concept is there, definitely.
It's interesting because you're coming into my world there, because the world of production, the world of filmmaking, world of
TV, I know nothing about it.
That's the world I come from. And so when I see projects saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to do a TV show," I'm like, "But who's writing it?"
Right, and that's the thing.
First question I ask.
Yeah, but that's maybe if I, you know, I respect everything everybody's doing. Okay, I don't want to sound that I'm disrespectful and stuff. I know it's very hard out there, and I know it's very hard to build things for sure. But I just wanted to kind of reflect on what we're discussing right now, right? We just tackled, and I don't know how many Ether or in money value, and you don't need to tell it, but how many ETH was traded in CryptoDebts or in other projects. But if I'm looking at OpenSea, let's say, and I look at the project, and the project says, it's traded, I don't know, $15 million. Again, I have to bring this number. We have to understand how much money is that. And then it's traded $15 million, and we look at the roadmap, and roadmap says, yeah, there will be this, and then will be that, and there will be this and this and that, and then we'll, ask community, and everything will be in the future. But what is in it today? And today, it's nothing. Now, the question is, how is it possible? And I'm asking sincerely that we are seeing projects which have basically a one-page website with a minting possibility and a Twitter account and a Discord group to be able to trade millions and millions of dollars. If someone doesn't see a problem in there, we have to talk, because I do clearly see a big problem in this. Like this is not sustainable. This is not something which at least adheres to any common sense in the world I live. Maybe there's a different world. And I've been in NFTs for quite a long time already. But it's clearly a problem in my opinion. And this problem has to be addressed.
So it's like the ICO boom in 2017, right? Just because every project is doing well doesn't mean every project is going to survive. And that doesn't mean that nothing makes sense. Just because everything is doing well and everyone's throwing money at a dartboard and hoping it goes to 100x, I wouldn't necessarily say that's a problem. It's just how the economy is right now. I mean, there's
I would say it's a problem because in this problem, in the middle of all of that, are people getting caught in
the housing market as well? Then I mean,
of course, and I'm not saying it's not. But I mean, look at this. Of course, there's a problem with the housing market. Every sane person have to seize that. But
I'm just saying it's not just NFTs. It's not.
Yeah, but but if we say that we are in the same position as 2017 ICO craze, what a huge problem for people. Okay. Do you realize how many people lost their money? Do you realize how many normal people lost their money?
There's a lot of projects, right? And there are a lot of projects that release every day. If we're talking about my project specifically or Abby's project, our faces are right here. We're showing our face to the community. We're actively communicating with our community. If you are talking about something like Bored Ape Yacht Club, have you ever seen the creators for that?
Yeah, but that's exactly what I say. Look, I'm not blaming you, but it's not all about the community. I don't agree with that. I hear it all the time from everywhere. Community is super important, but community has to. Okay, so I'm getting invited to Discords all the time, right? And if look at this project, or this could be interesting, and some people who I know, it's not the bots, but who I know, send me some links and they're like, hey, check this out. And then I look at the project, and then I just list through the Twitter, and from 20 top messages on the Twitter account, when I list through their Twitter feed, I see probably 17 are on the giveaways, the last sales prices of huge sales of their project, and giveaways again, and then another sales prices. And I'm like saying, okay, so what is the community actually thriving about? What are they asking for? Giveaways for what is behind it?
If you took one day in the CryptoDebts community, your whole mindset would change. Like genuinely, you could literally talk to 500 people in there, and they would all respond to you about how your day is going. It has nothing to do with crypto. Like literally, like it's about community.
Right.
Community.
Do they need to own a crypto toad for $1.5 million?
It has nothing to do with money. Money is the subset of the communities that we're in. If your only focus is money, then you're in the wrong space, in my opinion.
Oh, sir. So my focus is not about money. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. But the problem is so many people get caught in the middle because of the FOMO by spending their money on something that they don't even understand why. They hope to get profitable, but many people won't.
You're right.
But that's where ICO problem, and that's why the ghost of 2017's ICOs is still haunting us. Because so many people lost so much money without understanding why they're doing it. I mean, I've had some people who have never, and you just said it, many people from your community are new NFT buyers. So
So if I can just budge in real quick, we actually created a whole web series of videos for very beginners: how to create a MetaMask, how to use Mask, how to use Gas.
Of course.
These are things that we created to give to our community. And our community is very supportive of us and are supportive of each other. And they're all CryptoDad holders. So whether or not they bought it for this price, that price, they're trying to sell it for this price, that price. The people that I care about, the people that in my community are there for the community. They're not there for making money or, I understand there's people out there that are searching for these 100Xs. They're buying random things. That's not me. That's not my community. And, there's Ponzi's everywhere. It's not just crypto, right? Like there's pyramid schemes everywhere. Like there's things that are too good to be true everywhere. And that's for you to make your own decisions. And that's why education is the most important thing, right? Like,
yeah, but that's exactly why we discuss these things. Again, if I come here and I look at this and I just scroll through these numbers and I look at the projects and I don't know anything about those projects, okay? I have no idea. I mean, I've heard about some of them, but I have nothing, I know nothing about those projects. But if I just look at the numbers, we just need to have a look at actually the number of traded volumes, 5,000 ETH in 7 days. Even if we talk about communities, I mean, communities have been gathering on internet since, 85, like 1985. And people have not been spending that money to actually be in some communities. I'm questioning the whole, something like, are the communities are actually chasing the real thing to communicate with each other? To support each other, but to support each other, you don't need a token. You don't need a $100,000 token to actually talk to each other and be supportive in the life. You can do it for free. So the question is, why would you buy a crypto toad for $1.5 million to be part of a community where you support people and you do what exactly? I'm sincerely asking. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing this question out there.
Profiles are different.
Well, I'm gonna let Abby respond here because it'd be interesting to get an insight into their community around Top Dog and what they've done because they've been around for quite some time now and have a very strong community. So, yeah, tell us what you've been up to.
Arta, I think we are here to talk about everything that's wrong with NFTs, and I think you've summed a lot of it up very well. And there are a lot of things wrong with NFTs, and you make some really strong arguments there. But it is like anything else about education, about making sure that we provide people, as Josh's community has done, as our community do, with what they need to make the right decisions. And it's about experience. A lot of people, including myself, before all of this, I did art as a hobby now and then, but I didn't really have a solid hobby, anything that I really, really enjoyed. And for some people, having this connection, being in the NFT space, which does involve buying a token. Yes, you can be part of a community without spending any money, but it's part of the fun. It's the name of the game with NFTs. It's part of, if you making a profit, it is part of it. People do buy to make a profit, even those who are in it for long term. For the long term, they want to make a profit eventually. They want the projects to get to 8th level so that they can also benefit from it in their real lives. And It's about choosing the right projects. We have problems like FOMO, like paid influencers, like rug pulls, the project sweeping their own floor constantly. There's a lot of problems with this space, but it is a new space and it is somewhat of a sort of microcosm of the real world. This is a human-led project, even though it's in a digital space. So we are going to have the same problems that we have in the real world in the NFT world.
Yes,
I think it's a chance of something new and interesting.
I totally agree with you. And what you just said, it's very important. And the only difference maybe from what you just said, what I would do is I would kind of, put more essence and stress on things you just kind of mentioned, but I would come back to it and I would say, okay, sweeping on floors, rugging the pools and doing all of that with millions and millions of dollars. How many people do lose their money in the process of that? And just saying that, in my opinion, we are a new industry and we have to go through this cycle. For us as people who are trying to do a real thing, like you and me and others who are doing real projects and who are trying to build real communities with understanding, on giving the understanding to people why things are like this, why NFTs are important, what's the future of that technology. We have to stress it more and we have to voice, our opinion much more loudly, because otherwise we are just being caught in, in this silent cheering up of, oh yeah, another $5 billion of NFT traded in a month. Congratulations. And everybody from outside of NFT world looking at this, and they say, okay, let me check. Like, wow, okay, this $5 billion, clearly something. And they look at this, and for many people, it just doesn't make sense. And they start to question things, and they start to, in the best case scenario, in the worst case scenario, just ape in and they just buy something, and then they will never see their money back, or they do whatever they want with that money. But I'm just saying we have to voice this. We have to discuss this. We have to dig deeper, and we have to understand what actually we're celebrating and what we're actually not celebrating and what we're calling out, because that's
I'm gonna hand over to Zeneca, because he has a very good macro view on all of this, and he's seen a lot of communities, analyzes a lot of communities, or so-called communities. Can you add anything to this? What do you see? What are speak to the positives of this space if you can?
All right. So I have a lot of thoughts on this. I think, yes, there's a lot of truth to what you're saying. There are Ponzi's, there are scams, there are bots, like communities projects that pop up out of nowhere, have a one-page website and a Discord and Twitter with 50,000 followers. They're quite clearly bots and out to scam people or just make something up. And people will get burned, and it's unfortunate, and we should educate and spread awareness on those kind of situations. But I think those are surprisingly the exception rather than the rule. And like, you're looking at these top 20 whatever on OpenSea, and you're sort of conflating them all to be the same. And I don't think they are. I think they're all individual projects with individual communities of real humans. Like, I spend 16 hours a day in these Discords. I'm talking to people, real humans. And I saw someone just commented on this video about how a lot of these online communities were born out of the pandemic, like people stuck at home wanting a human connection, and they found it via NFT profile picture avatar communities. And it's, yes, you don't necessarily need to own an NFT to be part of an online community, but it gives people that sense of ownership and attachment by having a bit of a financial interest, by having digital ownership. I mean, that's what NFTs are all about, being part of a club. And I mean, clubs aren't new. They've been around for as old as humans. You have people spending 6-7 figures a year to be part of an exclusive golf club. And you say, why are they doing that? They can go pay $100 and play around a golf. It's to be part of this club and to network, to be with like-minded people. And I mean, you say $15 million a week is a lot of money. Yes, it is, but it also isn't. Like, there's so much money in this world. There's like $1.5 million for crypto. It's a lot of money. Yes, objectively, yes. But for a billionaire, it's
no,
not.
it doesn't matter. It is a lot of money. Sorry.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
I'm not saying it is a lot of money, but relatively for a billionaire, it's not. Like, if they want to flex, like digital flex, like if you say someone buys a car for 1.5 million, or a house for 50 million, or a Rolex for 2 million, or whatever, people are spending ludicrous amounts of money on stupid things all the time. Like, someone spends $400 on a handbag. I don't understand it. Someone spends $150 on a watch. I don't understand it. I don't care about any of that. I don't own a car. I don't buy fancy clothes or anything like that. But people in the real world do. Like, people will pay money for brands and for status symbols. And like, it happens in the real world. It's happening in the digital world. And it's going to happen at all price points. But to say like there's $1.5 million sales for cryptodes in the same sentence as you're talking about Top Dog Beach Club and Crypto Dads, like, there aren't necessarily the same people, the same communities. There's just different communities and different price points for different people. And yeah, I think that there's value in community, and obviously the I guess masses of the population or the community or the people out there agree, because they're spending this amount of money. And yes, some people are going to get burned, and yes, it's unfortunate, and we should do what we can to spread education and awareness of the scams that are out there and things to avoid. But I think sort of sweeping every project up together is a mistake.
Oh, I'm not doing that. But I'm saying, we say, yeah, we can throw really great words out there, and we can say, look, we need to educate people. We need to make sure that people don't fall into scams. Are we actually doing it?
Yes.
Is anyone actually raising the voice and saying, look, this is really strange?
I do that.
Okay, that's great.
And I think Josh and Abby are talking about how they're doing that with their communities.
Yeah, let him defend, because this is one of the reasons we got Zeneca on the show, is because he does raise a rational voice in all of this. The reason I put this show together is because after the last show that I did, he called me up. He said, "Dude, what happened to you? Like, you're praising this bullshit. You're saying all this stuff is amazing. Let me defend the space that I'm in. I find each and every project unique and wonderful and weird in its own right. And I would hate to see all of that crushed out because there was so much negativity that people can't go and be weird and experiment. There is, in each project, something that grows up that becomes uniquely theirs. A lot of them start out as copies, yes, and a lot of them are bullshit, but there's some that are just, frankly, super weird. And they start to do their thing and they start to build a community around that super weird thing that they do. And that's great. And if you
absolutely
spend lots of time in lots of Discords, you start to see these little seeds of ideas spring up. What I really wish we saw more of is sharing of those ideas and of those learnings between projects. Because the biggest problem that I see, for instance, Top Dog Beachcraft has a token. The Cyberkongs has a token. More and more projects are bolting on the one thing that they didn't need and didn't have that is the downfall of every project, which is a token. Because as soon as you have a tradable asset that can be traded in the market and dumped in the market and is heavily liquid, then you get screwed. Because like the moment the market turns even vaguely bearish, you are at the hands of people whose metric for success is a green candle or a red candle, and that has nothing to do with your community. So what I'm thinking about more and more is how do we take some of the things that are brilliant about DeFi and start to merge them with the things that are brilliant about NFTs. And so you start to come up with things like, well, what would a stable NFT look like? What would an NFT project where instead of worshiping the floor, we worship the ceiling instead, flipping all these things upside down? Those are the kind of conversations I want to have because there's so much pain and suffering ahead of every single one of these projects once we exit a bull market. And I don't think any of them are ready for it. So that's why we should be sharing innovations and learnings between projects because, and I don't know how you do it, maybe you have a summit and you invite all the people just to come and dump all the things they've learned and do a presentation. I feel like that's what's missing, the interoperability of ideas between projects. And I will leave the mic there. That's my biggest gripe.
I'd say, look, and I agree with you, but I'd say, and by the way, what I'm bringing up, I love NFTs.
Yes, this is the thing.
Alto
really does.
All my heart. But
your wife probably hates you for loving them because you're so poor now.
Yeah, but I love them from different reasons than many people in the market, and that's okay. I mean, we don't need to be the same. And I'm fortunate enough that as the founder and CEO of Somnium, as Somnium being an independent company, I'm fortunate enough to be able to raise my voice and say what I think without fear of anything. I can just say what I think, and I believe in what we do, and I believe in what market will look in 2, 3, 5 years. And NFTs are amazing. Blockchain will revolutionize everything. It's already doing it. But we are getting caught because of all the free money out there, because of governments are printing money like crazy, and people are getting money, and inflation is rising, and everything in one big chunk. We can spend probably hours discussing even that. But because of all of that, we are still getting caught. If you look at any article about NFTs from the outside, yes, you say it's not about the money, and I agree with you. NFTs, I always tell to our community in Somnium, I always tell them, it doesn't matter how much Somnium land costs. If it costs $0, you still can build on it and do great things with it. If it costs $100,000, great. Maybe you have a good feeling, but still it's the same land and you can still build great things and run shows and concerts and stuff. It doesn't matter. But if you look outside and you look at what articles are writing, mainstream articles are writing about NFT space, every article, 9 out of 10, would be about what is the latest price sale, how much did they sell for, what is the total volume traded, what is this and that. And this information, these bits of information, even by the insiders of the market, by some of us, is being used to legitimize, the whole NFT space. Because when you talk to someone, I don't know if you got caught in it, I certainly didn't, thank God. But if I'm speaking to people and people suddenly say, yeah, but you know what? OpenSea is now doing 1/4 of eBay volume. And everybody like, yeah, all right, wow, that's it's just the beginning. The NFTs will take over the world. They use this as the legitimizer. But what they forget about is that NFTs are great for completely different reasons. this is an amazing technology which will change a lot of things. But this is not what's happening right now. That's not the message we're sending outside, the industry. Inside, we could talk about these numbers and we can geek on, sales here and there and what's the metric and what's the floor price, even though I hate this term floor price and when moon and everything. But let's say, from the outside world, when normal people come into this space, and I've seen so many newcomers into NFT space in the last 6 months who just come in, my friends who I have never thought they would ever do anything with NFTs, jumping in and just, by the way, mentioning to me that they just bought something and then, something is not selling there and they bought, and it's like, what are you talking about? What, are you doing NFTs right now? Like, what? And then you start to talk to people and they tell you like, oh, but I heard these numbers and everything. That's what, the message we're sending out. And we need to make sure that we also mix up a real use case into it. Because if not...
But Artur, there is a real use case, and it's called identity. That is the entry point.
No, I'm sorry.
No, but it is. It is because...
Can I jump in?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to ask, if someone new to NFTs wants to buy some Somnium land, how much would that cost?
It depends. I mean, anything from $4,000 to $4,000, round about that.
So that's already a very high entry point. Like,
exactly.
Someone new to NFTs can't just jump in and be like, I want to build. You're saying anyone can build, but no one. A lot of people can't afford $4,000. But
yeah, but they can build for free. They can build for free in Somnium. They can build avatars for free. They can be there. The Somnium is free. You can use Somnium for free. You don't need to, buy the land to use Somnium. You can actually enjoy all of it for free. You can
rent the land. But that's the other thing. So I rent land to Top Dog Beach Club because I didn't want them to spend their treasury on Somnium land, but I also wanted them to have a place in Somnium. So I rent them my parcel. But that's by the by. Josh, question for you. Yeah. Airdrops.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that you guys have done an airdrop, but no. You are. But is CryptoMoms going to be
an airdrop? It's going to be a free mint.
It's going to be a free mint. So where do you stand on airdrops? Because they're both one of the most fun parts of this, but they're also kind of exacerbating the problem, which, we know that there is a massive surplus of supply. So where do you land on all of that?
So for us, this was already like in the plans from the beginning. And also we had it set up so that, for example, CryptoMoms are more scarce than crypto dads, instead of it just being a 10,000 supply. And then we're going to introduce deflationary methods in the future as well, because obviously we don't want to just create an influx of NFTs that have no purpose, right? But like I said earlier, we're going to also have rewards for people that hold the entire family or people that hold crypto dads and crypto moms, things like that. But as far as airdrops go, I think part of the reason we're avoiding them right now is just because of obviously there's a big issue with people getting airdropped all sorts of random things right now. So it's kind of hard to for me to want to just send things to anyone's wallet. It's just easier for someone to be like, hey, that's your NFT, you need to go get it, instead of them looking for it in their wallet and maybe stumbling on something that's fake. Because not going to lie, we've also had people send out fake crypto moms to people and stuff like that. It's just NFT stuff, I guess. But yeah, so you just have to be careful.
Yeah, totally. Are there any? Sorry, I'm just looking at Artur. He's just showing off. He's just showing off. I'm so bored talking to you guys. I'm going to go and have a little drive.
Sorry, I heard airdrop and I had to ventilate. Sorry, I heard an airdrop and I had to drive a little bit.
Josh, were there any projects that you looked at for your airdrop to decide whether there were things you could learn from? Because I think everyone's kind of experimenting with that staking model and deflationary mechanisms. Is there anything you've seen that you think is good? Alp, stop it.
It's good. I mean, it's hard to say. I definitely take a lot. What I do is I look at a lot of projects that I'm in, and I try to see what they did right and what they did wrong. I can't necessarily say if there's anyone I can think of specifically that I really like the way they did it. But for the most part, yeah.
If you want to hear about that after.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. So Top Beach Club did an airdrop of top cats.
Yeah.
I personally love the cats.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to hear about it.
I have a specific reason, which is Abby actually made my daughter a one of one.
Which nice.
Just made her absolute year. So I have a bit of a soft spot. So go ahead, Abby.
Can I also just say something super quick?
Yeah, sure.
Just in the comments, I saw a lot of people saying community is fake, community is not a real thing. I kind of find that interesting because the only reason I got into NFT so much is because I bought my Bored Ape and I realized how much of a community there was. And I'm not just saying that, like, I haven't sold my Bored Ape. I've had offers for, many more ETH than I bought it for. And it's not even relevant because I just would prefer to have an ape and be a part of the ape community. And some people can't grasp that concept, and that's okay with me, but it's just how it is. It's facts. So I just want to say that real quick.
But, okay, may I ask you a legitimate question? So you bought an ape, and you said you find yourself in the center of this amazing community of ape holders, or whatever that asset is.
I'm not in the center of it, but I'm a part of it. Yeah.
You're a part of it. Okay, so could you give us real examples of what that community actually, how did it help you? How did it inspire you? What? Just really keen to hear.
So when I first got into the ape community, it was my first community that I figured out that you could even like verify your wallet through like Collabland and shit on Discord. So did that immediately. Like tons of people were like, "Oh, welcome," and then like I posted on Twitter. All sorts of apes were like, welcoming me to the community. Quickly, I realized how active the community was, for one. The second thing is when I decided to make my own project, what I did is I looked for all sorts of people on Twitter that were apes that literally are probably multimillionaires, right? And I DM'd them and I was like, "Hey, like, how's it going, man? I'm just starting my own project. It'd be awesome to have your input." Do you think they would have cared about who I was if I...
Wait. We just said that it's not about the money, and I heard multimillionaires 5 seconds ago. Yeah, but
their community.
But what if the apes? What if the apes? What if the apes were literally $5? Would you DM them?
But I mean, that's the difference, right? I mean, I didn't buy my ape when they were 40 ETH.
Bruh.
That has nothing to do with it.
Okay, going to stop there because I want to let Abby speak and talk about Top Cats, because I think there's a lot that team learned with their airdrop. So I think it's definitely worth hearing. Thank you, Alp, for that, for Snoop. Or Cosimo, there he is. Go ahead, Alp.
I'm wondering what keeps happening on your screen there.
It's Alp. Alp, show yourself. It's my co-conspirator here. He's a producer of the show. He's just like, he's making stuff happen. We've got Snoop because Snoop is Cosimo Medici. Abby, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll talk about the drop, but what you said about community, Otter, I think it is about that experience. So, for example, somebody that would have been in our community from very early on would have had been part of the kind of joy of minting and the reveal to see what they've got and collecting. They may have even made a profit on what they've actually, if they've made a sale. They've actually had free merch, and this is the same probably with a few projects as well. They've been part of the fact that there's been charitable donations. There's been real world events that they've been able to attend. There's been the free drop. There's been games and competitions, the game zone on our website. And so us, like a lot of other projects, Josh, for example, I know there's some utility in your project as well. It is about that experience that you get. So one human being entering the project would have had an experience from that of being part of the community. In terms of the NFT drop that we did recently, what we tried to do is we tried to do something which was, it wasn't just a drop, there you go, here's an NFT. We tried to make it part of the narrative. So we released a couple of comic book pages. So our idea is that we've got some dogs chilling out on an island. We're Top Dog Beach Club. And then the time traveling cats come to ruin their fun. They've all got really like pissed off faces. The cats are kind of like a standalone drop rather than a companion. They're more of the villain of the piece. What we did was you talked about deflationary techniques, didn't you, Josh? And what we've done is we actually enabled people to burn a dog if they wanted to. Everybody who's got a dog gets one cat. But if you wanted to burn your dog, it gave you the possibility of having a higher rarity cat. So we took 3 of those attributes. You have an original role of a cat, and then we took 3 of the attributes and boosted them for the cat that people actually got. So that enabled us to take some of the dogs off mostly the floor. So we've burnt about 500, and people had to go and claim the cat as well. So we haven't got 8,000 cats. We've got 6,500 or so. So I think that works really well to make sure that there isn't too much of a supply.
And here they are. I love the cats. I thought the cats turned out really great. Really, really great. Just great work, Abby. So, Zeneca, got to throw it back to you. airdrops. What's your feeling on airdrops? Oh, that's a lot of me. Let's not do that.
I think that they're fun and exciting and cool, especially for people who are newer to NFTs, who maybe only have one. To get a whole other NFT is like amazing. And I remember when airdrops were first happening, people were all about them, and they were very exciting and appreciated. Now, because every project is doing them and doing multiples, some people, probably myself included, are getting concerned that it's just overinflating the market and people are just dropping them for the sake of dropping them, and that there's no real value to them. And, a lot of people will conflate the NFT, obviously, with the price and think of it as valuable. And, oh, I'm getting airdrop this. I can sell it for this. That's free money. But, I mean, that's one subset of people. But I think that a lot of us, myself included, sometimes forget that there are all these new people coming into NFTs every day, every week. And for them, getting a whole new NFT as an airdrop is still very exciting and cool and fun and interesting. And I think as a whole, it's just a cool way for projects to give value or just to reward holders, to give them something else that, it's cool. It's different art. It's another NFT for people who may not have a lot of NFTs to hold. I'm a fan of deflationary mechanisms too. I think that they're cool and interesting, but from just an airdrop perspective, I think that they're fun. I don't really see anything too negative about them. The market will figure out fair market price and value and all that kind of stuff, as it always
is the
does.
truth. And as we know, the market can go up a lot further than we ever thought possible. It can also go down a lot further than we ever thought possible. And we should be mindful of that. And I think for teams in particular, treasury management is something, and I want to get into that in a second. But my normal co-host, Simon One, has recorded a message. He keeps bugging us to play it. So let's play it and see what he has to say. Simon One.
What is art? When is art?
Oh, look at that intro. Something about NFTs. Robin asked me if I could talk about the subject of shit art. What is shit art? Why is some NFT art shit? So that's what I'll do a little bit. But while I'm here, I noticed that there's some pictures from grandkids and stuff like that lying about. Have a look. That says a wee haggis. And this, some kind of scribble. And these are done by 3-year-olds. Is it shit? Is that a PFP project? Is that art blocks? Why are these not shit? Why are these shit? Hopefully you'll find out by the end of this video. Chances are I'll just talk shit. So here's some of my stuff. This is from a teenager. I thought that was clever, wanting to get into oils. Thought that was too hard. Found oil pastels super quick. Then I just got into drawing a load of robots. Why am I showing you all this? Because what I think that makes NFT art special, and it's something that took me a long time to get my head around, is it's not just the aesthetic value of something. There's a little man with a little willy, and I thought that art, especially NFT art, had to have that same aesthetic impact, that same visual bang, kapow that you get from physical art sometimes, especially because of the size or the details. But I don't know. I don't think that's true anymore. I think what makes NFT art is the beauty of the link and the mix between the coding, between the generative aspect, between the community. All these things make NFT art a much bigger thing than the initial aesthetic impact. And it's hard to say what's shit. What is shit? What is great? Art is super subjective. I started drawing telephones and robots, and I ended up drawing monkeys. Is it shit? Is it art? I'm not going to answer that question. Robin, do some fucking research, man. Don't ask me. I mean, what do I know? So, as I have quite clearly shown, I am not going to answer that question, what makes something shit. I've got my own personal views on what I think is shit. But going back to these, look, if this was the next wunderkind 4-year-old toddler making 10,000 unique squiggles with 10,000 unique looks, and you can swap them for liquidity, yield, blah, blah, blah. It'd be a fucking multi-million-pound project. Same as this. This fucking squiggle. Put it in a square and call it generative, and it's the next Fidenza. You know, another way of looking at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 splats of a pen, and just a fucking pre-tantrum paint fest. Are these shit? From one end of the spectrum, you could say, yeah, these are just shit. These are fridge toilet paintings that no one's going to give a shit about. But then you attach a story to it, or a narrative, which is like your community, or your Discord, or your roadmap. And all of a sudden, these things do have meaning. Are we haggis? You know, all of a sudden you're attaching memories to the grandkid, to the trip to Scotland, to the fact that the imagination there is coming through. The kids obviously thinking haggis can come alive. And this free expression of forvism and colour. The thing about art, and this is annoying, this is like a cop-out answer, but I think there's no shit art. There's things that look shit, there's things that seem shit, there's things that are bullshit, but nothing is intrinsically bad. Because if someone likes it, if someone's like doing it, if someone's like putting it out there, if someone's like purchasing it, it's hard to say, then it's not shit. But that's not to say that you can't look at it and think, yeah, fucking waste of money. But to wrap this up with some kind of on-brand, cerebral fucking denouement to the age-old question of what is art, why is it shit, is that I think now, and you'll be pleased, and you can feel the smugness rise in what I'm about to say. Little drum roll, please. Dramatic swell. It's enough. I think that real beauty is in the eye of the behodler. Because I'm hodling.
Fuck yeah.
the one and only Simon One, my co-conspirator. Simon is an artist. He's a writer. He's just got himself a massive gig on a US TV show as an actor. One of the very best. He makes a good point. Zeneca, do you view stuff artistically, or do you view it for the entirety of what's there, the coding, the art, the community? Is that what makes an NFT exciting for you? Or is there just enough in the art itself?
I mean, it depends on the NFT. I would say usually I'm not viewing just the art. It's sort of like the whole package deal, especially for these. I think it's important to sort of differentiate the art NFTs from the collectible NFTs. I mean, I know that they're conflated a lot, and you can't fully separate the two, but some people just create a piece of art and that's the NFT. And then some people create like 10,000 pieces in a collection and they're collectibles and they're created by an artist and there's art involved in them, but it's not just about the art for those. So for me, there are some NFTs that I like looking at. I like the art of. I buy because I like them, not because I'm looking to make profit, and I have no plans to sell them. But I would say the majority of my buying and selling has historically been because of sort of an investment thesis, or that I think I can make money on it down the line. And for that, art is less important to me because it's so subjective. And if I don't like it, someone else might like it. And if I like it, someone else might not like it. So I look at things like the team and the community and other aspects, the roadmap, etc.
Abby and Josh, question for you guys. Looking ahead, Josh, you said you're in for the long term. Abby, I know you're in for the long term. How do you manage your treasury? Because at some point, the secondary sales will slow down to the point where they can't really sustain you anymore. What are your plans to mitigate what could be a very long bear market ahead of us?
Do you want to go first, or I can?
You can go first, it's fine.
Yeah, so I don't want to get into too much detail, but we do have that umbrella company that's going to be an actual corporation legally. And tax-wise, we have 3 investors on board. that I'm sure we'll release the information for soon. But basically, we're structuring it to where, even if things did go downhill, we would still have the funds to continue to make crypto dads. All the utility happen that we have planned. Everything that we've planned, everything that we posted about, anything we've said we're going to do is 100% going to get done. So that's just the way we work. But
okay.
That's
you have investors.
Yeah.
And the additional revenue has to come externally. But you build a brand.
That's theoretically, if I guess all of our secondary sales did happen to dry up at some point. Yeah.
Well, I think you have to assume that is the worst case scenario, and it's
right.
It's a very real possibility.
Right, and that's why we're setting it up this way for sure, just to be safe.
Do you sweep your own floor?
So we're really against sweep. I mean, I'm personally really against sweeping floors. I just think it's. I mean, I guess it depends on how you're doing it, but I mean, that's basically.
Well, it's unsustainable. It's unsustainable.
The
moment you start doing it, it's like, well, when do you stop? And
yeah, well, it's like I used to be in the shitcoin space, basically. Like that's how I used to make money. People can make money to the shitcoins. People lose money. I somehow was good at it. But either way, it's basically just like it would be like if a project of a shitcoin decided to buy like $1 million of their coin or something. Like it would pump the price, yeah, but then it would just go back down. So
exactly,
it's kind of pointless. There's a lot better ways you could use that allotted amount of money. Is all.
I know.
May I just chime in? Like, we shouldn't even seriously discuss the thing that like buying its own floor should be not happening in any project.
No, I agree.
Ever.
I 100% agree.
It should not be even a serious discussion about that. It's just like whoever is doing it should not be there in the market. Like dismissed automatically. I'm sorry. Like I just cannot imagine buying own floor, being a real discussion. Like it should be legal. For whatever I see.
We'll come back to that. I want to let Abby at least answer the question first.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Just wanted to chime in.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to keep building utility. We have to keep thinking about different revenue streams that we can bring into the business. We're thinking about how we can make this something that is beyond NFTs, something that where people can have real world assets branching out into, I don't want to say too much, but the more that we can branch out and have different revenue streams, the more we can make this into a real world thing, the more sustainable it is, and the more people are more likely to come and join the NFT space, because we do need more people in the space. Yeah.
May I answer this question from my side, from some, and Abby, you had a great answer, but I just say, in my eyes, in terms of Somnium, it's super easy. We build utility and we let people use that utility, and we create creators economy. When the creators economy is creating, it will be self-sustainable, and it's already partly, but it will be even more self-sustainable world economy. When people are able to create real use cases on top of the platform, that's where the real use case and real secondary market and real economy grows. Until then, you have to keep building. There's no easy, in my eyes, in my beautiful eyes, I want to say, there's no real shortcut in this space. We should not take any shortcuts, and we should really work hard. And I see you guys, from what I heard, you really try, you really do, and you really commit. And I really value that you come in and you bring yourself, into the spotlight, and you talk about your projects. And that's already, for me, that's already a great step forward, because majority of them, of other projects, they don't do it. And that's another problem I have with this. And yes, blockchain can be, anonymous and stuff, but utility, if we build with utility, if we build with a long-term thinking from the beginning, ideally, not after we are successful, but from the beginning, ideally, that's where the real magic comes, and that's when the community can actually really thrive and be thankful and be really creative and create some really cool stuff and the long-term value. So yeah, that's how we think about it for the future.
Zeneca, you were talking about the difference between crypto art, and Abby, you go ahead.
Sorry.
I get to speak a lot. No, go ahead.
I was going to say that I know that for us, we are absolutely committed to making sure that the members of our community get what they came for. People it is a serious thing. The whole thing is a lot of fun. NFTs is a lot of fun. It is a bit like collecting Pokemon cards, and swapping and trading, and like holding a certain NFT sort of close to your heart. and showing it off to everybody. But also there's a serious side to it because people are, and they have given their money to be part of this project. So the very last thing that we want to do is to let them down. So what we are doing is putting everything, I would like to say 9 to 5, but that's absolutely not the case. Our team is putting everything into making sure that they get as much as they can out of this. So we have our launch pad that we're just about to launch. We've already spoken to several different people who are interested in sort of partnering with us. We're going to help projects get off the ground for a percentage cut, and that percentage is going to go back into the community and go back into building the project even more. So secondary sales isn't going to be the only thing that's moving us forward. We're talking to a very well-known charity in the NFT space right now about doing an NFT project for them or working with them to join them up with some artists to make that happen. And that's for no cut for us. That's off our own. That's just, pro bono work for them so that they can enter into the space and hopefully a lot of their donors with them. We also are helping other members of our community to make money for charity. So we actually have a member of our community called Ryan, who's made a project called Fork Hunger. One of his comments popped up earlier. He's created a bunch of NFT forks and got some other artists in to work on that. And you're actually allowed to pay $0 for one if you just want one. And then the floor price after that is quite minimal, but 100% of proceeds go into charity for that. So I think it's about building yourself up, building a community, giving to charity in a real genuine way, not just throwing money out there and kind of tweeting about it. And I think it's about building that utility, reaching into real world benefits, real world events, so people can feel like they're part of an exclusive club and getting those additional streams of revenue. So it is hard, like you said, Otter, it's really, really hard. It's not just drawing some dogs or pigeons or whatever and then sitting back and letting the money roll in. I think that's what a lot of people think. And I can see Josh nodding there. That's probably what people think from the outside, but actually it's a huge job and it's a lot of work and there's so much work to be done. So yeah, keep building, just as you said.
I think we all look at Bored Apes because Bored Apes changed the game in so many different ways, and they are valuable because of whatever it is that community did, whether it was in response to Meebits, to punks, and the sense of elitism around that. But they clearly were driven by a bunch of people that just said, you know what, this is for me. And then since then, everyone's tried to kind of replicate that feeling or do it in their own way, and whether it's by airdrops and everything else. But I think what's nice is that as projects get older, they start to find their own identity that is not a clone of Apes or anything else. They can be their own thing. But I think we should also, you talked about how hard it is for you guys to do all of this work. We shouldn't forget how much that community did it by themselves. They did it off their own bat. It wasn't the developers saying, okay, now it's your project. No, the community's jumped up and said, you know what, maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that. And I feel that energy sometimes is a little bit lacking. And the people just kind of want the handout. They want the airdrop. They don't want to do the work. Zeneca, I've got a question for you. Do you get approached to do paid work, to do paid tweets or anything else by projects? And
Every day.
So what's your response?
No.
Straight up no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get the same thing. It's like, let's forget the last one I had. Dude, let's talk and let's pump up this token. I'm like, nah.
Yeah. I mean, I know that there are people out there that accept it and do advertise for projects. And like, it's a problem when people are doing it and not disclosing that they're advertising it. So if they're like getting paid to advertise a project, they go on the side, buy a bunch of it, go tweet out to their 100,000 followers, hey guys, this is cool, and then dump on their followers. That's a massive problem, and it's going to be a problem for as long as the market is immature. I mean, it's a problem in crypto as well, like altcoins and shitcoins. People have been doing that for the longest time. And, the market hasn't matured and been regulated enough to avoid that. And it's just going to keep happening. But I think that the most important thing is that we spread education and information so new people to the space don't just see someone with 50,000 followers tweeting about a project and think, hey, that's a good project. They should think.
That's you and me. That's the problem. We are, in fact, the problem. Artur called me out because we are the problem. And I don't know how to solve that problem because we advocate for this space and we advocate for the positivity of this space and what we think are the good things. But at the same time, we are also creating oxygen for everything that's bad.
Well, we're only the problem if we think that all of these projects are scams or that people are going to lose their money on them. And I, in my absolute soul, don't believe that. I think that the one, especially...
Well, nobody believes that. Wait, nobody believes that. That's for sure. No, nobody says that all the projects are scams.
Oh, but there are definitely
they're
some
talking
scams.
about.
The weights are definitely on a scammier side, I would say. The weights are now going into the side of more scams. And I have to excuse myself. I have to leave to pick up my kid. So I'll maybe say one more thing. Creativity is amazing, and people should experiment. But if people truly believe in what they do, they should probably experiment without trying to directly link the monetary value to it. And one more thing I would add is when you just said the market is immature, that's true. It's young, that's true. And it's not regulated, that's true. And we always, in the crypto world, we always try to say, hey, regulators, we hate them, right? Regulation is bad, centralization is bad. And, it's true. But then we, as the NFT industry, and I'm talking to everybody, including myself, everybody has to think for themselves. We have to be the ones who are responsible. We have to show the way. If we are a responsible project, if you are a responsible project, voice it up, show the way, try to be that responsible project. Because if we, as the industry, will close our eyes and do this, hide our face, and we'll pretend that we don't see bad things happening, and we will not talk about it, we will not raise those things, regulation will come. You bet it will come. And it will come faster if we do bad things, and it will come slower if we do good things. And I think that's kind of where, we should always, and it's a very unpopular opinion in the world, I would say, but we should probably ditch some short-term gains for the long-term good. Very unpopular opinion, but a crazy thought, revolutionary thought. Sometimes it's better to really throw and not have the short-term gains for the long-term planning and the long-term good. So that I would love to live again. Love NFTs, love creativity, but all you scammers, if you try to scam people, we're watching, all right? At least I'm watching. So yeah, just let's be aware of what's happening. Let's try to make really good things, really good projects, put really a lot of work. If you're super fortunate enough that you raised with your project millions of dollars, then hire people. Create real jobs, do real products, bring real utility, and give back with real products to the people, real things, so that people can actually enjoy them for the next 10, 20, 50 years and actually bring and, make some good with it. So that's it. I was really pleasure to meet all of you. Thanks for inviting me. I hope we'll see each other sometime soon, and I'm always happy to discuss NFTs. With good, bad,
thanks, Artur. That was Artur Suchov from Somnium Space, coming to us live from Somnium Space.
See you all. Thank you. Bye.
Can I just piggyback off that real quick? One of the main reasons we're actually starting this corporation is because we obviously know that something like regulation is inevitable, right? So, one, to hire people, but two, because once regulation does come, we want to make sure that, also a reason why we showed our face and things like that. We're willing to be, the people that are not attacking, but like okay with regulation. It's going to happen at some point, inevitably. I mean, there's a lot of money involved in circulating in this industry. So, kind of like you said, if everyone's just hiding behind the screen and anonymous and hiding their wallets and stuff, then it's not going to really end well for anyone. So, I think we have to get over that hump of, or bridge the gap between real money and crypto at some point.
Well, that kind of brings us, I've got two final topics I want to pick up. One of them is a token. Top Dog Beach has snacks. The Kongs have the banana token. Subducks have Vault. These are problematic for lots of different reasons. But I'm curious, Abby, how that token has gone. And I'm also curious, Josh, whether you are planning to do a token at all.
Seems, Robin, like you've got some opinions on tokens, which I'm looking forward to hearing. We originally launched snacks. Each Top Dog owner gets a certain number of snacks per day for holding their Top Dog. And they accumulate. At the minute, to claim them, it's quite gas heavy. So we're looking at, as I said before, we're looking at revamping the whole thing, finding a more gas efficient way to do it, and also bringing some utility to those snacks so people will be able to use them to mint future drops. They'll also be able to use them to mint other projects, is our hope. That could be part of the deal that we make in our launchpad for people to be on the whitelist for other projects, also to use those for other projects. So yeah, I'm not the expert on tokenomics. Absolutely. I think in the team, I'm the worst person to speak to about this.
No, it's fair enough though. But the problem with you said I have an issue with them, and I do have many. One of which is that they become a mechanism for displacing the value from where it should be to where it has absolutely no value except just in the charts. And the second thing is non-fungible tokens are non-fungible, and that's their beauty, and that's why they're so amazing. If you add fungibility to it, you're kind of bringing all the crap that we don't have in this space back into it. And I think that's okay as long as you're very mindful of the way DeFi works. And I always ask people, what does your stablecoin strategy look like? Are you depositing money into stablecoins? Because stablecoins are fantastic. They are a way of just, insulating yourself from the vagaries of the market. And that's why I say go and look at Terra, look at all the DeFi that's built around Terra and the way you can use UST. And that's why I challenge people constantly. It's like, show me an NFT that has a fixed price. Show me how you do that with an elastic supply. You can make it a game. You can call it Vermin, where, instead of people having arbitrage bots, they have a gun and they can go and shoot the vermin to keep the supply in check and keep the price stable. I have no idea how you build that. Maybe you could have an NFT-backed stablecoin that you basically do a federation of different NFT projects and they all bring their floor price to bear, and that index or that basket of floor prices becomes the peg for a stablecoin. You can look at things like Ohm and the way their treasury is, it's a pegged treasury and not, it's a backed treasury, not a stable treasury, which means that project it's insane the way that whole bond system and treasury management works. We can do all that with NFTs. Just plugging in another shitcoin is a great step, but it's really a long way off being where you can be incredibly robust, but also self-sustaining. And when Josh is talking about getting external investment in, that external investment comes at a cost. You don't have to tell us what that is, but some piece of what you have built goes out the door to the other people. And I think there are many, many ways where you wouldn't have to do that. And it's not the discussion for now, but this is why I'm so keen to explain to people what DeFi can do and what DeFi is amazing at, because it can solve so many problems that people will find themselves in the coming years and months. So anyway, that's just my rant on shitcoins, because I hate them.
So just that's kind of a good start to where I was going to go, because obviously I said I made money off shitcoins for a long time. And I would never, my thing is like, even when I was doing shitcoins full time, I would never, ever, ever tell someone or recommend someone to even look at shitcoins, because it's such a slippery slope. Like seriously, you have to really know what you're doing. But that being said, we've definitely brainstormed ideas for some sort of coin, but I'm very, very against the idea of creating anything that could become a shitcoin, which is kind of impossible to not create a shitcoin unless you have real utility, which, I mean, everything's kind of just perspective at this point, right? So that being said, we're still definitely brainstorming it before we make any decisions at all. If I was to do anything, it would have to be done in the best way possible to where the economics made sense. Otherwise, there's just no sustaining it. It's just inevitable for it to go to zero unless you keep pumping liquidity or something like that. I mean, it's rough.
Well, the good thing is that the NFTs lend themselves. They port over to games really easily. And so you can build an internal currency for a game. What I mean, I guess what I'm getting to is
and that was my idea actually. But
yeah, I would love to see like like the euro, the European currency. I'd love to see an NFT stablecoin or an NFT currency that would just be portable between all the different projects. I don't think that'll be that difficult to do. I keep saying these things publicly because I'm hoping that some bright spark or some 13-year-old nerd is sitting in his bedroom going, "Oh, yes, I can totally do that. Let's do it now." And then
I think
by
maybe
tomorrow
gas
it's done.
is the problem at the moment.
What's that?
Gas might be the issue for that at the moment.
Yeah, but just go to Arbitrum. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will happen. It's a fascinating idea.
It'll happen because I said it. And I saw somebody on Twitter was actually talking about an elastic supply for NFTs. You know, if you gamify it, it could be an amazing thing. But but I'm not dumping on having your own coin, Abby. Not at all. I'm just saying it should be a stepping stone to further investigations into what value can be created by things that DeFi is particularly good at. I forgot my train of thought. There was something else I wanted to get into, but I think it's probably time to wrap it up, unless anybody has any burning things that they want to declare before the world, the problems, the peeves, the basic. I know what I was going to talk about. For you, Abby, and for you, Josh, your announcement channel, you are aware that you are basically a soap opera and that this is a TV show that you are producing. You are aware of that, right? Your announcement channel then becomes the vehicle by which people get their fix for the day. Because I know, I can see in Zeniga's eyes, he's got 100 Discord channels on the left, and he's been looking at them while we've been talking, going through the announcement channel, going, "Okay, what's new? What's new? What's new?"
Someone created something called Same Kongs. That's what's new.
Oh man, yeah.
Are you aware of that? That's what you're doing? Because like you'll have roadmap milestones and stuff, but your daily proclamations, what you send out to the world, it's entertainment, right?
Definitely. I mean, I feel like I've said community a lot, and I feel like people think that's like fake now or something. But like I mean, like I don't even know how else to put it. I mean, one of the main reasons why it's so motivating for us to continue working is literally the community. I mean, if there weren't so many people constantly contacting us, telling us like how much they love the project, how much they can't wait for this and that, why else would we keep going? But at the end of the day, I mean, it's really cool. I mean, that these people are just waiting on like our announcements and stuff, and it also gives us a sense of accountability as well to make things actually happen, because we don't want to let thousands of people down, especially when there's money involved. So
I didn't realize we were a soap opera. I didn't quite get that. In fact, I thought that kind of Discord announcements were fairly boring. There's got to be a better way of doing it. Pages and pages of information with a little reward at the end when people kind of put the little party symbol, little emojis. I think all announcements should be video from now on.
Yeah.
Yeah, get Simon to do them, because he loves to talk. He loves to talk. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us today because, like I said, he's got a part in a massive TV show, and I'm stoked for him. There's going to be guns and fighting and stuff. It's definitely time to wrap it up there. Alp, people think I'm Alp. I'm not Alp. I'm Robin. I'm just using Alp's. Yeah, there you go. There's Alp. Alp, any comments we should be aware of? Any questions that anybody wants to give to the team before we wrap this up? This was actually a great discussion.
Lots of questions, but they're lost right now in the
in
spam
space,
of yeah.
time.
If you have any questions right now, just ask them ASAP. Let's get them on. And while you're here, why don't you subscribe as well?
Yeah, we were talking about gas, and everyone's like, "Oh, gas is so expensive." But the fact of the matter is, like, it doesn't have to be. Arbitrum. We talked about Immutable X earlier. There's a ton of options. It's just bridging across and getting those assets over there, which the piping just isn't there yet. But it's a matter of months before that's going to happen. So gas isn't really an argument anymore for all these things. It will get sorted out before too long.
Yeah.
Project we're hyped about. Any projects you're hyped about, Zenica?
Oh,
I have a few actually.
There's a lot that I'm hyped about.
Mechaverse? Were you on Mechaverse yesterday?
Yeah, I signed up for the raffle. I don't know too much about it, but
yeah, good luck to all of us, right?
Yeah, there's like 200-something thousand people into that.
Mm-hmm.
But
there's like 200K on Twitter already. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I just looked
Is
at
it real?
I thought,
Is it real?
There's no point. I looked at it. I thought, there's no way.
I'm like, how?
I think it's.
You've got to buy a ticket to win the lottery, but that doesn't mean you're going to win the lottery. Someone saying Mechaverse feels sus. It doesn't feel quite right to me. I mean, it's not like I think it's suspect, but they're ridiculous numbers.
Yeah, the art's so cool, so it's like okay, but yeah, the numbers are pretty wild.
Yeah, they're definitely inflated somehow, but the Nifty League Degens, as you mentioned in like the earlier part, that's very exciting to me. I'm looking forward to the next game.
Yeah, totally. And I've enjoyed Monster Buds. The Artifact dropped. I'm really looking forward to because I've known that project for some time, and I think what they're doing and how they're doing it is very exciting. Very, very exciting. Just because they just understand commercial marketing and things like that. There's someone's talking about Puck. What do you guys think about Puck? Have you got an opinion on Puck and what they are building?
Too confusing for me.
Head shaking.
Yeah,
Do you know what? I've spent a week researching it and digging into it. It's fascinating.
Yeah, no, very cool. But I don't really have an opinion right now.
Well, what was interesting was that there's an enormous number of NFTs, and people talk about 10,000 being too much, but there's a buttload of lost poets, like way more than any other project, and that isn't a problem at all. And some people say like there's too many PFPs. I kind of feel like if you expand the market to who might ever want them, this is not enough.
Well,
weirdly.
that's the thing. Like 10,000 sounds like a lot, but is it? Not really. It's really not a lot at all. It's a pretty small amount.
Yeah,
and
10,000.
When
10,000
Zeneca when Zeneca was talking about money earlier, I mean, it's literally just true. I mean, $15 million is not a lot of money in the grand scheme of money, especially in a space like this where, I mean, I don't think people understand how much money some people have in this space that you've never even heard of. But money goes pretty far in this space. And as crazy as some of the numbers seem, even like the overall like sales of OpenSea, if you compare those to like the secondary or digital sales for like video games, like skins and stuff, it's not even near that, like, and that's kind of the same thing. It's just like, but at the end of the day, an NFT you can actually resell. Like people are spending thousands of dollars on skins you can't even do anything with. So
well, here's an art block sale for ringers. This is just extraordinary.
Jeez.
The first sale price was $128, and it sold for $7 million for a ringer. And I was looking at ringers 3 months ago, and they were like 20 ETH. I was like, nah, no way. And look at that, 2,100 ETH.
Yeah.
So that is, whoever's got 2,100 ETH, they are buying a piece of what they believe to be the most.
I feel like something like art blocks will always be a decent at least purchase. I mean, if you're believing in the NFT space, like that's one of the OG generative art projects. So you really can't go wrong. But that is a lot of money. I mean, obviously, I can't even say that's not a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, but I suspect that it's a billionaire buying it. So.
Right? Yeah. I mean, like, if they're spending $7 million on an NFT? Like,
yeah.
It's all Justin Sun. Like everything above $1 million, it's all Justin Sun in various guises and various pseudonyms. Because as soon as they see him coming, they jack the price up 100x. So he's hiding. He's out there
There's
somewhere.
a rumor going around that it's Steve Cohen that bought that ringer and has been buying up art blocks. Maybe.
Is he Vincent Van Gogh?
No, Steve. Well, I mean, maybe, but I don't think so.
Maybe. Well, he's all over NFTs. I think it's fascinating what he's up to. There's some big moves going on there. Yeah. Would you, if someone came in and said, "I want to buy Crypto Dads," Josh, is there a price that you would sell it for? Just the whole project?
Oh, the whole project.
Yeah.
See, so one of the things and one of the reasons why me and Anthony work so well together is because we really do see this as an opportunity to maybe even make a name for ourselves and like solidify just what we can do as a whole instead of like making a bunch of money. We really do plan on, for example, like any event that I agree to do or anything like that, if I'm giving a Crypto Dad or anything, like it's always to give it to charity or like to raise money for charity, things like that. But at the end of the day, like I don't really know how I don't know how that would work necessarily, but two, this is really like, this is my project. This is my baby right now, and literally my name is behind it. Like if people go on our Twitter, they'll see like my Twitter is attached to it, so, and I kind of, the reason why we did that is also like literally accountability, if we disappeared, like, I'm sure people would try to find us, and as maybe scary as it sounds, it's actually a good thing to me because I really do want this to go somewhere. So,
and it's funny because when Top.Bistro came out, I think you could count on the fingers of one hand how many projects had put their faces to things, and you were one of the very first projects I saw that did that, Abby. That was kind of a brave move at the time, weirdly. Doesn't seem like it now.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really understand how brave it was at the time because I wasn't fully familiar with the space, and Paul was, who's my co-founder and brother-in-law, and it was his idea. He really drove that. He said he was committed to us being non-anon, and at the time I don't think I really understood the value of that. But I'm sure you've seen, Josh, the value that brings to a project. And Zeneca, I know that your ethos is to bet on people. I read your recent blog post, which is awesome, by the way. And how can you bet on people when you can't see their faces or hear their voices or see their facial expressions when they're speaking, and know who they are if they're genuine? I think it's so important, and it's worked really well for us. So I do recommend that if anybody's thinking of starting a project, I think it's the way to go now.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a rough space because I used to be fully anonymous, and I honestly do support anonymous people, but it is hard. I mean, obviously, I chose to be the head of a project, and I did choose to dox myself. That was all my choice, and for good reason. We weighed the pros and the cons, and obviously, it just made more sense to dox ourselves, especially with us being so serious about this. But yeah, I just say that because there are a lot of completely anonymous people that I respect a lot. So
yeah, me too, absolutely.
Yeah, you can definitely be successful being anonymous, but it's getting harder and harder to trust a project with an anonymous team, just because there's so many coming out now. I'm sure a bunch of them are just the same group of people launching projects every other day, just cash grabbing. It's 100% happening. But
well, I mean, there was that whole thing with, what was it, that female project that turned
Fame
out
Lady Squad.
Yeah.
It was just some
Stuff
Russian.
like it's rough, yeah.
But actually, they handed the contract over to actual women, and now they're working really hard to make that.
Yeah, that's a great redemption story.
Yeah.
Bulls on the Block has a similar kind of weird story, and they kind of bring it back from the dead. And it's just like, when people say community, there you have an example of a community that figured it out, and they rescued it, and they've restored some kind of sense of ownership to. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're going to succeed, but then how do we define success anyway? I have no idea what success looks like for any of these projects, because there's the external success that is the market price, but there's an internal success that you can't even measure, you can't see. And there's tons of projects where the floor hasn't really moved, but the community is amazing. So how are we to say that they're less successful than a project where, the market has taken note and the volume is going through the roof and all these kind of things? I honestly don't know, but I think it's fascinating that we get to find out live.
Yeah.
Now it really is time to stop. I would like to say thank you very much to Zeneca. Go check out his Two Bored Apes podcast because it's great. Thank you so much, Josh, for turning up. We really enjoyed having Crypto Dads come on the podcast, and we actually fell in love with the project when we looked into it. It was really, really cool.
Thank you.
And Abby, always a pleasure to have you. I'm so glad we were able to get at least some sort of diversity into the chat for once, because it is so male dominated. And thank you so much. Go check out all of their projects. We will link their Twitter handles in the description below. But thank you so much. And I wish you all the best.
Awesome.
That's probably the way to end it. Yeah, subscribe. I don't know, something. Drop us a like. There you go.
Etc.
Etc. Peace.
All right,
See you guys.
Thank you.